You know, the global financial system, it's just this massive interconnected web with trillions of dollars zipping across the planet every single day. It's this huge game, right? So much potential for prosperity, but also for total chaos. And like any high-stakes game, you need a rule book and a really tough referee. So the big question is, how do you actually police a game that's this big? Well, let's dive in.
And let me tell you, the stakes could not be higher. When someone breaks the rules, it's not just some abstract numbers on a screen. The International Organization of Securities Commissions, that's ISCO, they put it perfectly. The consequences are profound. These things ripple out, They affect everything from whole national economies right down to you, me, and our life savings.
So that really brings us to the heart of it, right? The big question for this whole explainer. How on earth do you police a system that's so massive and so complex? And how do you make sure that game is actually fair for everyone?
Okay, so before we get to the solution, we've got to understand just how big the problem is. Let's talk about the real cost when things go wrong.
Think about it. Just one act of financial crime, whether it's fraud or manipulating the market or some insider trading deal, it can just shatter public trust. It can destabilize entire markets and cause huge economic damage. It really just eats away at the very integrity of the system that, let's be honest, we all depend on.
So how do you stop it? Well, the answer is this really powerful idea, a strategy that's all about making financial crime a terrible business decision. It's a concept called credible deterrence. And the whole idea is pretty simple, actually. It's about changing the math for anyone even thinking about doing something wrong. You make the risk of getting caught so high and the punishment so incredibly severe that they just look at it and go, you know what? The risk just isn't worth the reward. It's a bad bet.
And the core philosophy behind it is just so simple and powerful. Crime must never pay. The whole system is built not just to take back the illegal profits, but to take back way more than what was stolen. That just pulls the rug out from under the main reason for the crime in the first place.
Okay, so that's the theory. But how does this whole credible deterrence thing actually work in the real world, on a global scale? Let's open up the playbook and see. All right, this global strategy really stands on three big pillars. First up, clear rules and loud warnings. Second, know where to hide. And third, swift and strong justice. Let's break down exactly what each of those means.
Okay, Pillar 1. It all starts with having really clear rules. I mean, you can't play a fair game if nobody knows the rules, or if they're all vague and confusing, right? Everyone involved has to know exactly where the line is. And this isn't just about, writing down a bunch of laws. The real key here is transparency. That means talking to the public about new rules and, this is a big one, making a huge deal out of every single enforcement action. When everybody sees what happens when you break the rules, man, that sends a powerful message to the entire industry.
All right, on to Pillar 2, know where to hide. Look, having clear rules is great, but they're pretty useless if people think they can get away with breaking them. So the goal here is to create this feeling, this environment, where criminals are always looking over their shoulder, expecting to get caught.
And believe me, regulators have a whole arsenal of tools to make that happen. We're talking about high-tech surveillance that uses AI to spot sketchy trades in the blink of an eye. We're talking tips from the public, required reports from gatekeepers, people like auditors and lawyers, and really strong whistleblower programs that protect people who speak up, sometimes even rewarding them financially.
But there's a catch, and it's a big one. In our global economy, bad actors can just jump from country to country looking for the place with the weakest rules or the most relaxed enforcement. It's a tactic called regulatory arbitrage, and it's a massive threat to the whole system.
And that's exactly why international cooperation is so critical. You have organizations like ISCO that bring together all these regulators from all over the world. They team up, they share info, coordinate on investigations, and work to plug all the loopholes. The goal? Make sure there are absolutely no safe places for these criminals to hide.
And that leads us right into our final pillar, swift and strong justice. So if you break the rules, and you get caught, because remember, there's nowhere to hide, the consequences have to be big, they have to be meaningful, and they have to happen fast. And the punishment always fits the crime. You get caught for insider trading, bam, you're looking at huge fines, something called disgorgement, which means you have to give back every single cent you made illegally, and maybe even jail time. You manipulate the market, you could be banned from the entire industry for life. And if it's fraud, they can freeze all your assets in a heartbeat.
Now, these punishments aren't just picked out of a hat. Each one is carefully designed to do three things: be effective, be proportionate to the damage done, and be dissuasive, which is a fancy way of saying it's got to be scary enough to make anyone else thinking about it think twice.
And when I say strong, I mean strong. Get this. In some places, like France, the penalties can be up to 10 times the amount of money made from the crime. That is the ultimate way to say no profit from misconduct. You don't just lose what you stole, you lose so much more.
So let's just zoom out for a second. When you put all three of these pillars together, the clear rules, nowhere to hide, and the strong justice, what you get is way more than just a system for punishing people. You're actually building the foundation for something much, much bigger.
Because ultimately, this whole global effort really boils down to one single word: trust. Trust is like the invisible fuel that makes the entire global economy run. Investors have to trust that the game is fair. You and I have to trust that our money is safe. If you take that trust away, the whole machine just grinds to a halt. Like IOSCO says, this kind of tough regulation is what actually builds public confidence. And that confidence, that's the secret sauce. That's what allows markets and economies to grow and to prosper. It makes sure there's a level playing field where the good ideas and honest hard work are what win the day.
But here's the thing. The game never stays the same. We've got new tech popping up all the time, right? Things like crypto and AI are creating amazing new opportunities, but also brand new risks and totally new ways to cheat the system. And that leaves us with one final big question to think about. As the financial world keeps changing at lightning speed, how does this playbook have to evolve to keep the game fair for all of us?